Welcome. We are installing Server 2012 R2 on a VMware Workstation environment in this video. So I have VMware Workstation installed on my system and I have ISO file of Server 2012 R2. Server 2012 R2 is a 64-bit operating system uh, and we will start by creating a new virtual machine. So I'll go to File, click on New Virtual Machine. From here I will choose Custom, click Next. Okay, this is about VMware Workstation environment versioning and backward compatibility. So I will make sure it is Workstation 12.0. Okay, now I have to provide the installation media since we have an ISO file available in our system. So I will browse to that file. I'll go to desktop, select this ISO file, and it has detected automatically as Windows Server 2012 R2. Alright, and now I will click next. I don't need to provide the serial key at this stage, but it's important that you choose the right operating system flavor. So I will go with Server 2012 R2. Password is optional, but I will provide a password anyways. Okay, this is a warning about Windows product key, but we will ignore and proceed anyways, since the purpose of this server is to install Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager. So I will name it SCPM1. Okay, this location part is very important because you are going to create a virtual machine that is going to take some space on your laptop or desktop. So I will choose the right directory and right volume for that. I have already created this directory on one of my disks. I'll click next, leave the options. Okay, for processors, you can choose from a range of processors and cores that depends upon your system's own available resources. For the time being, we are creating two processors and two cores. That is more than enough for Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager. We'll make RAM 4 GB, so the installation process will be faster because I have lots of RAM available on my system, so it's okay with me. Okay, for the network connection type, we will need two network cards, one in the NAT and one in the host only networking. For the time being, we will only use NAT. Click next. Leave it uh, as it is recommended. Click next. SCSI recommended. Okay, create a new virtual disk. Click next. Now 60 GB is the recommended minimum size for the disk. So we will keep it like this, 60 GB. Allocate free disk space now. Allocate disk space now will reserve 60 GB of disk space on your computer for this machine. I will store it as a single file. Okay, I will accept the disk name as it is and click finish. Now this will start creating the disk because we are choosing a single file with all space pre-allocated to it, so it will take some time. So as soon as the disk creation is completed, setup is starting, and now the operating system installation process will initiate automatically. Okay, you don't have to actually do many things when you are installing the operating system. Just sit back and see the progress. So we will get back to it when it reaches this point, finishing up. Once the installation is finished, VMware tools will start installing automatically. Since we have provided credentials at the start of installation, so it is not asking for the credentials anymore. VMware tools are important to get better user experience, like you can drag and drop stuff from your virtual machine to the physical machine, or from physical machine to your virtual machine. In addition to that, it gives access to physical resources like USB and sound card. And if you have any printer installed on your physical machine, your VM can use that printer as well. So it's very important that if you don't have VMware tools, first of all, install them. After installation of VMware tools, operating system is reloading again. Operating system installation has completed. Now you can see you have a virtual machine within your physical computer, and it is asking to press Control Alt Delete, but actually you cannot do it because if you press Control Alt Delete, that will work on your physical machine and that will create a conflict. So for virtual machine, we will press Control Alt Insert. Okay. Another way you can send Control Alt Delete command is go to VM and send Control Alt Delete from here. All right. Anyways, so I will provide my credentials. We can make this screen area even better if we go to View and Fit Guest Now. It will take all the space available for the guest VM. Now, Server Manager is something that loads automatically in the Server 2012. It gives you a little dashboard of any important alerts, any important roles that are installed in the system. So first we will go to local server. Purpose is to make some basic changes that we always have to do when we install a new operating system. So here we can see this computer name. This is the first thing. It's a randomly generated computer name. Whenever you install a new operating system, you get a name like this. So we will change this. Click on this, change, and make it SEPM1. That was the purpose. Okay. We have to make some more changes. So at this point, we are not joining this computer to the domain. So it asks for a restart. We can restart it later. I will not select restart now. I will press restart later. And then we will go to set up the IP address. Okay, since we have one Ethernet that is to get internet access on the server, so we will not change any settings here. We will just rename it to NAT. This is purely a customizable setting. You can set it whatever way you want, but for this particular environment, for our convenience, we will set it up as NAT. So whenever we need internet, we will enable this network card. Otherwise, we will keep it disabled. Okay, one more thing, since we are not using IPv6, so we will disable IPv6 from here as well. Okay, refresh, and some information has changed. Okay, we did not configure Windows Update. I will configure it later and I will upgrade the system. But currently this is not scope of this video, so we will leave it as it is. Okay, now we have to add another network card in the system because it will be required to communicate with other servers in the same environment. So I will go to VM settings, add, and I will add another network adapter. It will ask for the options. I will choose custom VMNet 3. We can choose from all of this list if works like VLAN. So if all the computers are part of VMNet 3, they will be communicating to each other. But in this scenario, we will provide a static IP address. So I will press OK, and it will add another network card in the system. So now we have another network card. I will click on this to reconfigure. We have this Ethernet one. I will rename it to LAN, local area network. From the properties, I will unselect IPv6. We are not using it, and I will provide a static IP address. For my convenience, I am using this scheme. You can use any of the private IP schemes as per your requirement. Because this is the first server, so I will provide an IP address that is ending with 1, I mean 61, 21, whatever. Because if you have a server name server2 and it contains an IP address 3, again it is very confusing. So if IP addresses are available, it's always good to have a proper IP scheme. At the time of troubleshooting, you will be able to understand from the IP address that which node is having trouble and which node is working good. Okay, so for the DNS address in my environment, I have this 1.1.1.10 DNS. So I have provided this IP address. Click OK. So, all right, we are almost done with it. Now we will give this computer a reboot, and after that, we will join it to the domain. For the reboot, you can go to Windows. From here, power options, shutdown, and restart. So we have two options. We can restart from here. Since it's an operating system that is running servers, Windows Server operating system, so it has multiple options. We can choose one of these. This is just to provide the reason why we are restarting servers, because normally servers are not very frequently restarted. So there are multiple options: hardware maintenance, installation, operating system recovery, reconfiguration. So we will choose the easiest one and continue. The server will quickly restart and get back with the new name. Okay, this time instead of using Control Alt Insert, we will go to VM and select Send Control Alt Delete. It will have the same impact. I will provide my password. All right, Server Manager is loading automatically. So from the network configuration, we can see now we have two network cards, NAT and LAN. For the time being, we do not need NAT, so I will disable it. It's important because I have to join this computer to the domain. In the meanwhile, Server Manager is loading. Okay, because I have a domain controller at the same environment, so I will power up this machine as well. It is not mandatory to have a domain controller in your test environment because scope is to work on semantic endpoint protection manager's initial basic configuration. But it's good to have one if you need to make an end-to-end production-like environment. So now we can see the dashboard. I will go to local server. Its name should be changed. So now it is SEPM. Okay, one thing I have noticed here is that Windows Firewall is on. So for the time being, I will turn it off. The trick here is to click on Windows icon, move your mouse anywhere, don't click on anything, and start typing whatever you need. So when I type firewall, I mean, after a few keywords, it will pick up and show me the firewall. So I clicked on it, it will load in a while. Okay, from Windows Firewall properties, I will just turn off all the firewalls. I mean, it has a domain profile, a private profile, and a public profile. From all the profiles, firewall will be turned off, so it can communicate easily to the domain controller. Configuration of the firewall totally depends upon the settings set up by your network security department in the organization. So it's always convenient to disable the firewall at initial stage, and once your installation is done, you can turn on the firewall and provide all the ports that should be opened one way or two way. So okay, now that firewall is turned off and computer name is good, so I'm all set to join this computer to the domain. So I will again I will click on workgroup, change. Okay, here I can see the workgroup radio button is selected, and Workgroup name is workgroup. So I will change it to domain. My domain name is fix.net. Oops. All right. So here I will provide credentials that are authorized to join a computer to the domain. It should pop up a message welcoming to the domain fix.net, and it will again require a restart. All right, so it is joined to domain. Yes, I will restart it now. Once my server is rebooted, now I have two options to log in. First option is to log in using the local credentials that we created during the installation. That was my username Omar, and second option is to log in using the domain credentials what we have. Okay, we can see it is applying some security policies to the system because now it is part of domain. So all the policies that are imposed by my domain, that will be implemented on this server as well. All right, machine is back. I will again press Ctrl Alt Insert instead of Ctrl Alt Delete. Okay, now this is the option. SEPM1 is the server name, and slash Omar is slash, and then Omar is my username. So I do not wish to log in through this user now. Instead, I will use the domain control credentials. For that, I will press this button, switch users, other users, and here I will type domain fix slash administrator. Okay, here's the catch. If I press if I don't type fix, it will go to my local system SCPM1. So instead of that, if I'm logging in through administrator user, I will have to explicitly mention the domain name slash username and password and login. Logging on to a domain joined system first time will take a little longer than the usual because it will create a new profile for you on that server. Okay, so now I'm log on to the system, and in the next video we will start preparing this server for SCPM installation.